Welcome to another episode with your girl Stronger Nurse, or my legal name, Ashley Asbury, here on Stronger Nurse News, along with my co-host, Janine Dupron she's a senior nurse recruiter at Epic Travel Staffing. And today we're going to talk about travel nurse terrorists. Now, I can say this because I've been a travel nurse for over a decade. And I believe that I have actually been very reasonable in the demands. Really, my demand is just like pay me more money. It's like the biggest thing. But because I'm the travel nurse, I actually work the job. My demands are a little different, right? And then my recruiter is the one who tries to fulfill those for me. But of course, she's got multiple other nurses that she works for. So I was just kind of curious. What are some of the most outrageous demands that you have ever been requested of in your tenure as a seasoned senior recruiter with Epic?
Oh, it's gonna get juicy. I've actually had somebody ask me if they could borrow money one time. That's been interesting. Yes, I've had that. I've had they're short-term contracts, and the idea is that you're there to fill their need, whatever that may be. So they need you to work as much as they can, whenever they can. They need you to be flexible. And there's a lot of, thoughts out there that it should be the other way around. And that's fine. I mean, some places, they're totally chill like that, but that's not all places or majority of places. So I've even had, hey, I can work, no matter what. And then I need a month off in the middle, like right smack dab in the middle of the assignment.
Okay.
And those are changing a lot all the time, I feel like, too. And then let's see, I've had people tell me that they need to get paid more just because they've done more. And like I mentioned last week, it's kind of like a house mortgage. Like they don't work like that. We're contractors. There's a contracted rate. So obviously you want a recruiter who's going to give you the most, potential out of that pay package, whatever it is, and how it breaks down. But just because you've been a nurse for 20 years doesn't mean you're going to get a $300 bill rate. Like they don't even exist. So
Right.
let's be realistic to the market.
Right. So what about housing? Because I know like agencies used to provide housing for travel nurses. And so majority of us find it now. Does Epic provide housing if you ask for it?
We do. So I think there's like this connotation that housing's always paid for and it's free, but it never has been. Even back in the day when they offered it more, and I still get those demands. I need this and I need this and I need this, but there's so far few in between that I don't even pay attention to it. But back in the day, if they offered you guys housing, it came out of the bill rate. You just didn't realize it because they would just offer you what they could pay you after the housing was done. This, nowadays it's like you have so many options that you can just get your own housing and usually pay literally a fraction of what that is, comparative overall. Now, we do work with a third party housing agency. And then we also have hotels and stuff always sending us stuff like, hey, we're in Orlando. We have blocked rooms for travel nurses, whatever it may be. And so our concierge team, they take care of all that. But if you do want housing, you just kind of tell us what area you're looking for, what your budget is, and what you want. And we could try our best to make it happen. But if it doesn't get covered at your stipend portion, essentially, you're going to pay the rest out of pocket.
I bet you people wasn't ready for that.
Housing either. So, that's always a risky run because, you might secure some housing and the person before you didn't want to leave. So there's that risk too.
There's always that risk. Okay, so what about as far as housing is concerned, do you guys provide a refrigerator or something like that? Is it furnished or unfurnished? I mean,
you would have to request for it to be you would tell them I need silverware, I need plates, I want it to be fully furnished, turnkey, or I'm bringing my own stuff. I just need a bed and a dresser or whatever it may be. It depends. They have a list, we fill it out.
Okay.
We'll go through the questions, but yeah, I mean, I've heard all kinds of stories. I'm sure everybody here has at some point. There's a on forums of horror story housing and horror stories on unit. And yeah, but for me, I mostly get the pushback of I need more money because I'm very experienced and I mean, I come across a lot of great nurses all the time, just like yourself. And, you know, if I could, I would. I promise you, I could, I would.
I understand. You don't have to convince me. I understand how it works. I mean, but like I found my own housing, and even with me finding my own housing, I have my own housing horror stories, and usually it's the landlord that I'm dealing with. Sometimes it's a buggy situation, quite literally bed bugs like kind of situation. And then the other thing is like being trapped in a lease because, you know, sometimes because you're an at-will employee, you can lose your assignment and be stuck in a lease that you still have to pay for. So when it comes to
you brought that up because I have had when COVID first hit, like I don't know if you remember, but New York was like the hot spot for like 2 months. COVID came out and it was like New York seemed to be the only place that was looking for travelers, and they overhired so much that I actually had travelers that showed up and were basically just put on call for 2 weeks before they canceled them.
Yep.
And then we hit the great lull, I call it, for like another 2 months. And then COVID took off again for like 2 years or something like that. Right. So it does happen. Fortunately, with Epic and like, you know, we try really hard to keep those relationships with like the vendors. And so when we get the job orders, like 99.9% of the time, they're a legit order and you can secure your housing and stuff like that. You know, obviously there's going to be a one-off here and there, but we try everything we can. Even if we have to reassign you, we try to reassign you in the same area so you don't have to repay housing.
Okay. So I guess my question is then is if you were to lose your contract and the housing is found through your agency, how does that work for the travel nurse? Like, are we still on the hook for like the entire lease? Do you take it out of our stipend or something like that? Like, how does that work?
I have no idea because nobody takes the housing. Everybody finds their own.
Right.
We did the math one time and they even told us, like, we ran the numbers, you know, stuff like that. And it was like one nurse out of every like couple hundred takes that. And that's a lot, you know. Now on if we ever bring on an interim recruiter, which I think would be great because we do have an interim department, we do a lot of charge, manager, director of nursing, house soup, stuff like that. And their contracts are ran totally different and they provide the housing. Like that's part of their package. So they might actually be able to give you a little more insight about how that would actually work because that's what they do.
Okay. Well, we'll have to have a conversation with them one day. So I have another question then. So what about like airfare and car, like a rental car and stuff? Do you guys provide that or does it come out of the stipend?
Well, it's built into your pay package and it's the tax-free travel reimbursement. So for us, we give you $600 in California on the first check. For me, if you keep extending, I keep giving you the same thing. I don't I do. And then if you go to a different state, though, our policy is that you get $300 on the first check. That's to get there. And then $300 on the last check. That's to get back. Okay. And then if you extend with me, you still get the same 300 increments every, you know, front and last part of the thing. But now I do have some people who drive. They don't want to fly. That's I find they have people who ship their cars. They take a train. Right. They, you know, travel with other people. However you get there, if you extend with me and I keep giving you travel, you can pocket it. You can put it in a rainy day fund. You can do whatever you want with it. I don't care. But that is yours to do whatever you want to get to and from. Now, I have heard of other agencies actually buying your ticket. Right. But again, it's still coming out the same pie. They're just withholding it from you. So if they find you the worst flight ticket you could ever imagine, but they pay for your flight, like, hey, that's on you because you trusted them to find your flight, which you can't do. I don't know how people do that. I just can't.
Lord. I guess it's the same thing with rental cars and stuff too. You trust your agency to find you a rental car, and you end up with like a Kia Rio or something like that.
Right.
For 3 months.
We don't do rental cars, but we do have promo codes for the rental companies, and they're actually pretty good. I've used them. They're really good. So if you ever are like, hey, I'm going to rent a car, like I have a promo code. I do have an email that I kind of like condense. You can find all your housing and car stuff like that in one spot. But we do have a promo code, and those are helpful. I haven't heard any more for cars though. So that's good.
Okay, please share. Please share. I will provide that in the description, the promo codes and stuff like that. That will be awesome. Because some people like me, I shipped my car to California and then I took a flight here because it was cheaper for me in time. Like my time is money, right? So at the end of the day, that's what was most economical for me. But in the past, I drove from Texas to California, and let me tell you, that is agony. Road trip is fun and everything.
You're also talking about Texas. Like, it's hard to drive through Texas, even the little part at the top of the state. It's really long.
Hot. There's New Mexico, there's Arizona, there's Southern California. It's all desert and it's all flat.
But I love driving through New Mexico. They got some really pretty taverns and stuff you drive through. It's so pretty.
Well, I just want to get to my job. I am just on a mission to get to where I'm going. Okay, so then when it comes down to assignments and stuff like that, right? You got a new traveler that you're just now working with or who has been referred to you, and they come, they fill out all the information, and they're like, okay, well, I want the highest paying contract, and you give it to them, and then they don't take it. What is the repercussions for that?
Well, that could go a couple different ways. I've been fortunate, thankfully, but if a traveler self cancels, the biggest nightmare you're going to deal with is the backlash of the vendor. Like, they are famous for putting people on blacklists, like a DNU list. And so AMN, for example, they actually have an internal group that does only Kaisers. Now they have a twofold blacklist. You could get DNU just from Kaiser or from the entire facility, or both.
The whole system. So you can be a do not return to Kaiser and to American Mobile. And American Mobile is actually one of the biggest vendors for travel nursing, right?
That is correct. They own easily 60% of the market. The next one would be Aya. They have a DNU list as well. Cross Country has a DNU list. One thing I will say about Cross Country that is literally in their contractual agreements that they don't tell their travelers is that if you sign a contract with them at their vendorship facility, you will never be able to return to that facility as a traveler unless it is with them, because they do not take back their own supply. So if you leave for 3 years and you want to go back to that facility with me, they're never going to allow it because they own it and you went there with them before.
Well, hold on, back up. So you're telling me that if I got a contract through Cross Country at one of their very specific, is it a direct hospital, a direct contract is what you're saying?
Where they're the vendor over the facility. So Alabama, is it Alabama? Alabama Children's in Little Rock, they own that facility. If you were to go there and then you complete and then you say, I want to go back in 2 years, you have the job, it looks great, I want to submit, they will not take you back. They will call you directly to take the job back. And then if we push back or any other agency pushes back, they will flat out tell them we do not take back our own supply. It's in our contractual agreement. They can only work here through us.
Wow. Why do they not tell people that?
I have no idea. Now, if you have a smart recruiter, they'll tell you that, because they'll be like, hey, just to let you know, blah, 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 blah. But they don't tell you that. So yeah, just be cautious, because, there's other places too, Health Trust, I believe it is,
yes,
or Medical Solutions, or both. They have clauses like that too. If you work per diem with them, you cannot travel, within their network, because you're technically their nurse. You work per diem with them, for them.
That is bullshit. I'm sorry, but that is so garbage. We are not property. We should have the ability to literally float around. I mean, I've seen on the internet where there's this woman, she's trying to make it where nurses can be independent contractors or independent clinicians. I forget what it's called, but anyway, I support it 100%, but at the same time, I understand nurses, because of the kind of license that we have, we cannot technically be considered independent clinicians in the sense doctors and nurse practitioners and all that other stuff is concerned.
Right.
We still have to
have that's I can't remember which it is, but policies change all the time. Maybe they change it. I don't know, but it's just one of those fine print notes on our side that we see when we submit you guys, that we have to tell you, like, hey, you can't work with them for the last 6 months, or or if you are currently working with them, we got to do this. And I mean, it must be legal because they've done it for years, and to each their own. I mean, if I have my own business, I know I'm going to run things the way I want. Right. It just kind of sucks because, like you said, you guys aren't property, and if you feel like you work better with some people and not the other, I would assume that it's just better all around. But that's just my opinion, and I just I just like to tell everybody when we're talking about things, like making sure they know the pros and cons of everything, because like I don't want ever somebody be like, you never told me this. I'd rather be like, I didn't know. I literally didn't know, or I told you everything I knew at that time.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, like, travel nursing is not like real estate where, if you make an admission, they can sue you, right? Even if you didn't know. But for us, I mean, I know there's a lot of lawsuits, but a lot of the lawsuits in travel nursing actually just come down to like pay and overtime laws, majority of the time, and like lunch breaks and all that other stuff.
Right.
Okay.
So it comes down to a lot of stuff like that. And you see them constantly popping up,
Yes,
to my knowledge, we've never been involved in anything, but I don't know. I don't know what the future, I don't know what the future holds. But like I said, to my knowledge, we never did it because I'm always deep diving those things. I want to be free and clear. That's the thing I like about HEBIC. We're free and clear. We're fair. We're by the law. That's just what it is.
And this is the reason why you want to travel with agencies like that. So I get a lot of people that are just like, oh, Aya is this, or I work with American Mobile, and I'm just like, I don't really like their business practices. I mean, because the thing is that they'll sell you, oh, you'll get a free iPad, we'll pay for, a free flight somewhere or whatever, to try and lure people to come into their system. But people don't understand that they are really taking money from them by offering them free things, which are not free.
Right. It's got to come from somewhere. I mean, Epic offers those things too, but we, like, for instance, we have a milestone program. So that applies to all of our nurses. Every 5 assignments, you milestone up. And then when you hit number 20, you get like a big win, like a big mammer jammer. And then I get involved in choosing that mammer jammer, and it's a surprise.
Okay. Are we talking about like vacations and cruises like that?
I like that. But there is a nurse cruise that I stumbled upon, and I did kind of pitch it. So I'm hoping at some point we can kind of offer it like a raffle or something like that. Because I know we do that with NurseCon every year. Or TravelCon. We do that where, we'll put people in raffles, and it'll be like them plus one or something like that. So I always try to find fun things like that so that we can offer our travelers, because you guys work hard, and I know you guys like to party and vacay. So why not help?
I've been to TravCon. It is so worth it. I tell anybody that's a travel nurse that I meet, you got to go to TravCon. Like, it's the only place that they literally cater to nurses. We get to drink all day. I mean, for free, right? The food is free. We get all kinds of free stuff. I mean, like, the parties is party every day.
I'm expecting to be guest speaker.
Not this year, but next year. I will be guest speaking.
There you go.
Yes, but not this year. Okay. Well, I guess that kind of wraps it up then. Travel nurse terrorists. I mean, like, I know you've experienced a lot. I know I'm not one. I can tell you that much. I am chill. You know what I'm saying? Just pay me my money, be honest and transparent with me, and tell me the truth. You know what I'm saying? Even the fine print in my contract that I may have missed, please tell me, right? Like, otherwise, like, travel nursing, we are at will employees. So you got to come into this profession because that's what it is. Right. A whole different type of mindset. You got to be like better than everybody. In attitude and energy and skill set and stuff like that, because you are expendable. Okay.
Right. So, and I hate to say it, but you want to make all those really good connections too, because they can pay out later on. You'd be surprised how many times, the manager's phone number came in handy, or I know so-and-so and they know so-and-so and stuff like that. So you really want to work on those marketing skills.
Yes.
Yes. People skills while you're traveling too.
Yes, because outrageous demands, that don't work in this profession, like not at all. Because you will get booted. Nobody will want to work with you.
Honestly, like you kind of said, like you need a good recruiter who knows the industry and can tell you like what they can and cannot get away with. What is the expectation and the reality versus the want, the need, and all that other stuff.
Right.
So,
well,
but I'm always here, even to answer questions. I'm here.
I know. That's what I tell people. Like, I literally just refer people to you just to answer questions. I'm like, look, like, I know a lot, but there's some things that I don't know or don't understand or could not explain in a way that you can, because you're on the other side of the fence, right? So I'm doing my travel nurse thing, just being the nurse at the bedside, and I can tell you how to travel nurse, but when it comes to like the actual agency, choosing a recruiter and understanding all of the, minutia of traveling, that's where you come in. So that's the reason why I'm grateful that I have you as a resource for Stronger Nurse News.
Well, thank you.
I appreciate it. All right, folks. Well, this has been another episode of Stronger Nurse News with your girl, Stronger Nurse, and my girl co-host, Janine Dupron. So we will see you guys next week on our next episode. Thank you for tuning in. Bye.
Bye.